Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Drop the Beat podcast. My name is Charles Laurita.
And I'm Will Sarver.
And you're probably wondering why there's no small delay during that little exchange that Will and I have. And that's because we are finally 6 months. I'm so excited I can't even talk.
We did it.
No,
we're here.
6 months later, after not seeing each other, we're finally here in person having a video version of the Drop the Beat podcast. I'm so happy. Our sound guy's going to put in some fake applause right there.
Yep, put it in.
Sounds great.
Queued
really
up.
good.
Yeah,
really
love
good.
It.
We wanted to do this since day one, and then
that was the plan.
And then COVID hit, so we obviously couldn't do it. But we're here. We're in the Rat Cave. I was going to say we're live from the Rat Cave, but we're not live. We're live for us.
Right.
But we're not live for you guys. We got some green tea.
You got to have that
Dude,
green tea.
This is good. I am so happy. This is our 18th episode, I believe.
Yeah,
And
18.
we finally have video to go with it. We're really thankful to have everyone keep listening every single week when we're doing this. I think we really only took 1 or 2 weeks off, and we've been going just completely strong this whole time.
Keeping the momentum going.
That's what it is, baby. That's what it is. But we're here. We're just ready to go. I think I'm super psyched, so hopefully you guys are liking this. Now it's something to look at a little bit.
Maybe it's worse now that they're looking at us.
Well, not only are they listening to us beat off, but they can watch us beat off.
That's game changing.
Oh my God! Please delete the browser history or pull up an incognito tab,
Right?
Because we're gonna be beating it a whole lot. But now that we're in person, Will, how are you? What's been going on?
Well, it's a lot better now. I get to see you. We're here. We're doing it.
I was gonna say this is surreal. I never thought we'd be doing this again in person. You know.
I know. Like you said,
I don't even know what to do with my mic. I don't
even know what to do with my hands.
No, what do we even do?
Man.
But dude, we got the table. We have the bell that everyone had been listening to for the past.
That's
couple
right.
weeks.
Everybody's favorite bell.
Oh, they all hate that bell. I think. I'm so excited. This is great. This is the first time you'd been in the Rat Cave really since we've renovated it.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
You want to tear it down?
Yeah. Can you start over?
Yeah.
No,
All right, we're gonna do a home improvement podcast
right
now.
Here it is. No, it looks great in here. I've seen a couple pictures earlier, but being here, it really, it looks great. It's cozy.
Yeah.
The lighting in here is awesome.
No, it's every problem that we had is pretty much fixed.
Yeah, it's great.
So
Love it.
It turned out great, I think. I'm so happy. Like, this is great. We finally have video with this thing. People can not only listen to us on your favorite podcast streaming platform, but they can also watch us on YouTube.
That's right.
Which is great, and
Which
I'm
is
loving it. And
dangerous.
also, I think everyone should know now, me and Will are sock connoisseurs with our stuff. I actually have hot sauce socks on right now. They're sriracha ones, and Will has matching ones. We purposely did this.
And when you put them together, what do we get?
It's gross.
Foot fungus.
Sweaty.
That's what we
Athlete's foot. I don't know, man.
All the above.
It's disgusting. So for all you foot fetish people out there, and Quentin Tarantino, I hope you really like that video part. I think that's gonna, it's great. We're in mushroom chairs, dude. This is so comfortable.
These are really comfortable. They're a lot more comfortable than my office chair that I'm usually rolling.
Yeah,
in.
I'm usually in like a cheapo kind of computer chair thing, but it's something, man. But I was gonna say, so for our first kind of video podcast that we're doing, I kind of wanted to go in a little different direction, because normally we're always taking questions. One direction.
Right.
Oh, that's different.
Oh.
What are you saying? Dude, we're old. We're too old for that.
Oh, are they still a thing?
I don't know.
Which
is the guy? Hairstyle?
Hairstyle.
I don't know his name. Harry Style?
I actually like him. He's kind of...
He was in Dunkirk, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess. I knew that. I don't know why I said I guess.
Well, someone's always fact-checking you.
I was going to say they're going to. But I figured let's go in a little bit different direction for this episode, which I think would be kind of cool to get people more enticed to listen. Because we never really do more generalized questions, because normally people write into us, which is kind of cool. And if anyone at home listening would like to write into it, you can go to charleslaurita.com/contact and fill out the field with your name, where you're from, and your question or topic for us to discuss. Any long-form topic kind of discussion, musical thing that we can do. I think it'll be good. We've had some great topics over the past 17 episodes.
Some really good questions.
Yeah, some really, really good stuff. So now we're going to kind of just change it up a little bit. And something that I get asked all the time, and I don't know if you do as well. I'd imagine you do, because you've talked to at least one other person in your life.
Just one.
Just one.
Yes.
people always ask me, whether it's interviews online or interviews in papers or just common conversation or, anything like that. They talk about influences. And I think that's not an influencer.
Oh, okay.
No, Will, we have talent. That's the difference.
That is the
I
difference.
just found out what an influencer is, and now I just like to just shit all over it because
great.
it's just like, it's so stupid. I don't know. People are probably going to hate me for that because I'm putting down a very large group of people, but
how dare you?
Yeah, whatever. We're going to do a TikTok dance after this. But people always ask me about my influences. Can we just do these mugs are awesome because I just keep picking mine up because now it's here and I'm not even drinking from it.
There's nothing in mine.
No.
It's just water.
But I was going to say, influence is such a big thing, and I think there's quite a few categories with that, where you have bands, artists, albums. You have just people in your life, whether it's friends, family,
true,
whatever. I think experiences can be very, very influencing, or for me, films or any other medium like that. But so I think we should kind of take it back way to the beginning.
Oh, way back.
Way back. When you started to play music, 'cause it was a very, very young age for you. And obviously, you're not only influenced or inspired while you're playing, but you're also influenced, when you kind of start playing, or something that influences you to play.
Yeah.
So what would be the one thing that really kind of started you to start playing? I know it's such a broad question, but
yeah, I mean, I probably mentioned it before, but it was kind of, I grew up in it, surrounded by it. My dad played, my brother was also a musician, so it was kind of a natural progression for me. And it was kind of like I didn't have a choice. Not that I was forced to play or anything. It was just with that surrounding and that environment.
Yeah.
It was just bound to happen. And so, and my dad was a drummer, so, there were drums in the house. So, and that's kind of what I gravitated towards.
Oh, see, that's different because there's some hose in this house here.
Oh.
That's the difference.
Garden hose?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah,
I digress.
Exactly. But, I mean, yeah, that's really how it all began. I mean, for me. But, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned, like, it also doesn't necessarily have to be music related.
No, not at all.
For you to get involved in it or be inspired by it. And then you mentioned film or even crazier or, experiences that are unrelated to music entirely.
Yeah, totally.
Like I have vivid memories of certain things, about certain experiences or doing certain things based upon certain songs or albums.
Yeah, I am
crazy.
Super nostalgic for that kind of thing as well, where it's I've realized with songs, when you listen to it, you always remember the first time you heard it.
Yeah.
Or where you were. And that's dangerous for me because I'm like a nostalgia fiend, so it'll be like, oh my God, I remember like being in kindergarten hearing this or something like that, or where I was or what I was doing. And that can be kind of poisonous for me because then I get sad because it's like,
yeah, sometimes,
that kind of a thing. But it depends.
But for you, what did guitar come naturally to you because of something you heard, something you watched, somebody you know?
So I first started violin. That was my first musical instrument. I mean, we had in my house for a really long time, we had like this old school 1960s double tier organ.
Nice.
That I used to play with my aunts, and I used to toy around on all the time. And so I was always into music, and I listened to music. But as I always say, the first thing, and I'm like just completely unashamed, the first thing that really got me into music, or realizing that music was a thing that people made, it wasn't just like songs on the radio. It was like, oh, someone made this, was the Spice Girls. It was always 1,000% Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Being a young kid, easily influenced by whatever. A bunch of pretty girls jumping around on stage. I was like very into that.
Ew.
Yeah, I know, it's a little gross, but whatever. And like, I was in elementary school, and we listened to, I was in second grade because in third grade you could start an instrument, and we listened to like they had a concert to kind of showcase like, oh, kind of get kids on either side. And it was the orchestra and then the band. So like orchestra being all your fine strings and then like, you know, band being brass, woodwind, all that kind of stuff, percussion, whatever. And the orchestra sounded awesome.
Yeah, it does.
You know, because strings are so much easier to play. And this is just, you know, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade kids. Strings are so much easier to play than like brass and woodwind stuff at that age.
Yeah, it's tough.
The band did not sound great. It was kind of like a car crash and then like a Mack truck going down the highway. Like it wasn't
all the squeaks and all the...
Oh, it was something, man.
I mean, I'm not a horn player, but I think just getting that technique with your mouth, your embouchure, is really difficult.
You have to develop it, you know?
Yeah, I think it takes a long time where, like, anybody, you know, in music class can hit together those rhythm sticks.
Yeah,
whatever
no
you got
problem.
in elementary school.
Yeah, I mean, that's also the whole thing no one realizes, too. Music early in schools, because we played through all those Essential Elements books and all that.
Yeah,
crap.
oh God. Man,
they're not
going way back.
I still have mine.
I keep all that.
They're not meant to get someone to play well. They're meant to get everyone to play together. That's the whole point of those books. They don't teach you. They're fucking dumb. But pardon my French.
It says that on the back of the book.
Fucking dumb. So I remember we go to listen, and I was like, orchestra sounds way better, but I was very undecided. So back in those early 90s or mid-90s when the Spice Girls were the biggest goddamn thing and Beanie Babies were everywhere and Furbies were huge and I'm just painting a picture for you, you know, that kind of a thing. You know, they would actually, I remember on the news, they would always be like, oh, the Spice Girls are going to debut a music video, and every news station would play it. And that was like crazy. It was Spice Mania, they called it.
Oh, it was wild.
Yeah, and then it was always, you know, oh, we're going to show live concerts of them on stations, and that was huge. And I remember we were watching one night, me and my parents, and the Spice Girls had an orchestra with them. They had a string orchestra, and I was like, that's it. And that's what made me do it, because I was like, I'm 7 years old.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I know it's weird, but it's kind of like that was the spark for me, because I was like, well, I'm 7 years old, and if I play violin, the Spice Girls will hire me to be in this orchestra.
That makes my story so
And then Posh
boring.
Spice will want to marry me.
Yes.
But she got a close second because David Beckham, you know.
Oh, he's all right, I guess.
Whatever. That dude's a human perfection. Like, no one can compete with that man.
Oh, yeah. Can't argue.
No, he's such a beefcake. But that's what kind of got me to do it, was that specific event was the deciding factor. And I did violin for 3 or 4 years. And it was fun. Like, I liked it. I always hated the kids because we had my orchestra teacher, Mr. Mercury, which is also the coolest name. Mercury with an I at the end.
Ooh.
Yeah, Pat Mercury. I'm still in contact with him. He's a super cool guy.
That's
Whenever I
awesome.
go back to visit my high school when they do jazz band nights or things like that, because I usually have like students in or something, he'll always be at the judging table, and I sometimes hang out and sit with him, or we'll kind of talk, or I'll talk to him on Facebook and stuff like that. And he's a fabulous player. Not only is he a great strings player, but he plays banjo and mandolin and guitar. Just monster.
Does it all.
Monster guitarist. He could do like a lot of jazz stuff and a lot of Chet Atkins style stuff, and just awesome. So he was a big influence, because when I told him I was thinking about stopping, you know, violin, and I said I want to do guitar, he like totally pushed me in that direction. He said most definitely do it.
Smart man.
And I did. And he was a huge influence on me, because he was so good. He was just the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, that always helps.
Yeah,
we talk about it a lot on here.
And I always felt bad because he gave out sheets that we had to sign and have our parents sign of how long we practiced every week. And it was like, you know, he wanted like a 5 minutes a day kind of thing, and kids would just write numbers in.
Yeah.
I was the only kid who had like 20, 30 minutes, you know, because I cared.
That's a lot for that young of an age.
Wanted to be good. I tried to memorize all the pieces. He was cool because they were looking for an additional piece to be put in this honors orchestra concert. And he was like, well, we don't have anything right now. You know, can anyone think of any songs? And this was right when the second Pokemon movie came out. No, stay with me. Everyone stay with me, please. Please. No, please. Don't look at him. Look back at me. Back to me. The second Pokemon movie was coming out. This was the year 2000, I believe, or 99. And there was a song in it called The Legend Comes to Life, and it was cool. It was an orchestral piece. So I went home, and I worked it out on that double-tier organ that I had. I wrote out what I could, and I brought it into him. I had like the main melody part and some of the other pieces. Because I listened to it. I had a cassette of the soundtrack. So I was listening. I'd pause it. I'd learn it. I'd write it out.
Wow.
This was me in 4th grade. because I had no friends, and brought it into him, and I showed him, and I played it and everything, and he loved it. And then he made an arrangement of it for honors orchestra. So when we got to have this big honors, I'm totally stroking myself off right now.
That's really cool, though.
So when we had this honors orchestra concert, he made me stand up and for the whole district, and everyone clapped, and it was awesome. And I had a Pokemon folder that I kept my music in, and I held it up, and it was like really stupid, but I was so proud of myself. I was like really happy. Everyone was proud. That was like the equivalence of me playing a sport in school. So.
I mean, it's music in a way is a lot like sport. You train like an athlete.
Yeah.
Put in the time.
Choo-choo train. Was that what you meant?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool. So it was even cooler because they had an honors orchestra concert like 20 plus years later, and he messaged me on Facebook, and he was like, "Hey, we're pulling back out Legend Comes to Life. Do you want to come to the concert?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they did the same thing and made me stand up and recognize me, and he told the story about how I did. It was like really cool.
That's awesome.
That was... I swear, if more kids had positive musical influences and role models, it makes all difference. He made me want to practice. He made me want to play.
That says a lot.
And that was the best part. I wish I stuck with violin, because going back and relearning it way later in life was not great, because I was like, why is this so damn hard now? And it's like,
it's tough. I mean, at that age, you don't know. Without having the right guidance, you don't really know the right progression. It's like
no.
I should have took piano when I was a kid.
Dude, we all should have.
Yeah.
I mean, I plunked around, but I don't play like it
right.
now.
And you know what? It bit me in the ass.
Ooh.
Come down, college when I, I'm taking up music, and I gotta, have 2 years worth of piano.
Oh boy.
And it's just like I'm relearning. I'm learning the piano now, and I could have been so far ahead. And plus, I think, a lot of the things root from piano.
It's whenever I get young students come in and they're either too young or less mature for a stringed instrument, I'm always like, go to piano, because it's just the best to learn theory on. It's the best for younger people to learn. Everything's right in line. It's all linear. It's great. Like when I do lessons now, like I'm doing remote stuff, I always turn my tablet around, show the keyboard, and I'm like, this is why it works. This is the interval spacing, and
some of like the greatest composers like wrote everything from piano.
Yeah, that's all they had, because you could do a full orchestration, a full arrangement on it, because it's like, okay, here's my bass parts, here's my string parts, here's the rhythm section.
There's plenty of octaves there.
Yeah,
octaves.
Whoa, octaves.
Yeah. No, that's a really it's a really cool story, though. I mean, you brought up a really good point with having somebody like that can really change the course for somebody in music.
If I didn't have that positive influence, I would not have gone as far as I do. That's like a huge thing, because it was. He made me want to try. He made me want to.
He didn't scare you off.
No, he made me try the best that I could.
Yeah.
And it was cool, because everyone that I was in class with always respected him, because he was just like the super cool hip guy. And also now in quarantine, he's doing so many different videos with people where he's doing like the multi-frame kind of video, and everyone's playing remotely with him, and it's awesome, because it's just really, it's like some standard stuff and some other things, but he plays like the really cool big arch top guitars, and he's a fabulous player, and it's just, I love it, and I always heart react to every video of his that I see.
You have to.
It's super super cool. But so that was my kind of outside influence for it, but you also kind of started to go into family, and I think that's a really important, because I had family influence, and I know you did. So what was kind of the push from your family, because you were basically born, your poor mother had to push you out with drumsticks.
Yeah.
And I know that was probably
nobody wants to
bless
do that.
Her soul, because that's, your head's big enough as it is.
Exactly.
I can't even imagine what it was like with,
exactly.
They're like, oh, here come the drumsticks, and it's like, your poor mom.
Yeah.
It's good God.
But that for me that was all of it. Everything was growing up in it, and family, and like down to my musical taste. I never really listened to anything modern.
Yeah.
Even at a young age, because, I'm driving in the car with my dad or my brother, and it's classic rock.
Yeah.
It's all older stuff. So I honestly didn't really get to, listen to some of the, like, most of the 90s stuff until I was well out of the 90s.
Until you met me.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Because it was always, I was, 30 years plus behind.
Yeah.
I was definitely an old soul. But honestly, I'd for me, I mean, it was the best.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. Don't say it's like it's a bad thing. I mean,
No,
that's quality.
I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
Because it definitely, broadened my horizon as far as musical taste and genre goes and different playing styles.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the modern music scene all the time and how it's vastly different.
That's an understatement, but yes.
I'm putting
indeed.
it nicely, yeah. But I mean, that was everything. It was just, I was always trying. My brother was a phenomenal musician, so I was always trying
still
to.
Is.
Yes. Yeah. It's like riding a bike for him.
Yeah.
So I was always trying to. The bar was always set very high, even though he kind of played everything, but he was mostly guitar.
Yeah.
But he was like pretty good at drums and really good on piano. So
I'd say the worst is when he comes out to see us play, and I know he's a fabulous player, and he like sits right up front and watches me,
stares at your fingers.
Dude, he's like, but I know he would never be like a judgmental person, or because he's just the nicest guy.
Yeah,
so
and
like,
I mean, he nothing but good things is said, about you and your playing, and
well, that's because I pay him a lot,
right? And you pay me, so
yes,
I still have to say it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, I mean, that's my story. I mean, it sounds so lame compared to your, you writing orchestral pieces. I'm over here beating on crap.
I would say I clunked it and plunked it out on the piano and wrote it badly. Like, I'm pretty sure I have those original sheets, or they were photocopied, and like all the stems on the notes are all the wrong way. like it's all bad.
You're engraving.
My engraving,
yes,
brother, was just not perfect. But it was really cool seeing that sheet and having arranged by me and like my name. He gave me arranging credits, which was great. Where I really didn't do much of the work. It was all him. But
yeah. Now I know you mentioned Spice Girls.
Yeah. So what's it to you?
Yeah.
Because you should see how much I listened to back then. Because I didn't think of it anything weird. But anyway, continue.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everybody's aware that you're a gigantic fan. But is there another major music influence, that you listen to besides the Spice Girls?
Yeah.
Or give me something completely opposite of Spice Girls.
Black Sabbath.
There we
was
go.
One of my,
that was
one of my big ones.
Yeah.
So it was so like family influence for me was my Uncle Paul and my Uncle John, both guitar players. My Uncle Paul was really big into pushing me to playing and taking lessons for the guitar. And then, of course, Uncle Rick, who...
the man, the myth, the legend.
Incredible bass. Also awesome guitarist. He doesn't give himself enough credit on it. He's way too humble. So for anyone at home, when you drop in our local area, when you drop Uncle Rick, that's a big deal. And he played in my group for a long time, and it was just like the... You've played with him a couple times.
Yeah, I fell into that with a cover band that I just sat in for a couple tunes, and that's all I needed.
Yeah.
I mean, and he always got a smile on his face.
Oh, he's the absolute man.
So humble, but an absolute monster.
Yeah.
And a really good human being, too.
Oh, and he's also my personal luthier who works on all of my guitars. He's the only guy I let touch everything.
That says a lot,
Yeah.
because people are very particular about instruments, and especially guitars, a little bit more finicky.
Yeah, so anything you see down here in this room, he's touched lovingly and emotionally, maybe. I don't know.
Both.
I don't know. I'm not usually there when he does all the work, but
they get love. They all get love.
So they were the family playing influences, but then I think actually the most important one was my dad, who really doesn't play anything musically. Like, he plays a little guitar, little drums, little harmonica, nothing like insane. Actually, he's a pretty good harmonica player. I can't say he's not. But the most important thing he played like records and albums for me. And that is super important. So that's why when I said Spice Girls and Black Sabbath, which is like that, you could not get more polar opposite.
Yeah.
He was a DJ for years in, like clubs or things like there for hire and stuff. So he would always make me mixtapes of whatever. Like, that's why I have this huge love for 90s club, because he would always make me tapes of all the dance music that was popular, or whatever, disco tracks were huge that he would play. And that's why I'm big into that and anything like that. So when, I started getting more into music, my uncles and he were into the rock stuff. As Black Sabbath was such a big one. Deep Purple was big too, and all that.
Right.
So I was listening to the Spice Girls and old school Black Sabbath at the same time, and I didn't think anything of it.
This makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's why I'm a
really
quirky,
does.
weird person. And I didn't think anything of it, I'm like, yeah, whatever. This is cool. This is normal.
Yeah.
And it was that. I think it's that amalgamation of all that kind of made me. I mean, other big musical influences for me was David Bowie. It's a huge one.
Never heard of him.
That was he's an indie guy. He had like one hit.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like it.
It's crazy though, because thinking back, that was the first song I learned to play on the guitar. Was Space Oddity. Space Oddity was the first song I learned to play on the guitar when I was 10. So that I just picked this up. I'm still not drinking anything. So that was a big deal.
I can't say that many people would choose that as their first. Oh, at that age especially.
I was obsessed with him. I still am. He's great. I mean,
absolutely.
So for those of you guys listening, Will and I, for funsies, when we were setting up a recording thing, we tried to dive into some Bowie stuff, and we wanted to just see how many things we could kind of pick out of this recording, and we did Fame.
Love it.
Just like a small portion of it, thinking it was going to be easy, and then you listen, and there's like 5 guitar parts. The bass is nuts. The drums is nuts. The dude was
a lot of layers.
Genius, and he was a big influence for me musically, because I would always, with one of my mentors, I would go into the studio all the time. He has a home studio, and I would go in and just record, because I would do like session work for him, and he would. This is like when I was in high school, and he would give me session time if I wanted to work on whatever, and I would go in and play everything, because I would do the drums, the bass, the guitar, the keys, the vocals, percussion, whatever. And that was huge for me, because if it wasn't for Bowie, who did the same thing, where he played like everything, or Prince, who played everything, or your Lenny Kravitz, like, dude plays everything too. Those guys were huge for me, because it was like, whoa, this one guy can go in and just do everything. What do I even need you days. People?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
And that was, and not just do it, but do it well. It's not like,
be great at all of them.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, I know 4 chords, whatever. It was like, no, these dudes knew everything. And they're writing the stuff, and they're arranging the stuff, and they're doing the production work. And I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Finding out, like, you listen to Prince's first couple albums when he's doing everything, and he's young, and it's like, this is insane. Like, that's... I don't have any words. That's just kind of what it was.
He's one of my favorite guitar players.
Oh,
he's probably the most underrated.
Absolutely on my list. He's right up there. He's in my top 3, I would say. Which a top 3 is always very, very hard, but he's definitely in the top 3.
Oh, same. So. Yeah. And that kind of stems back. I was going to ask the question, like for me, I surprisingly enough don't listen to a lot of drummers.
I'm the same with guitarists, where I don't, like, it took me years to think of like a favorite players, because everyone comes up to me and they're like, guitar, and I'm like, or we could talk about film. Like, I'm one of those people,
right?
Where it's like,
yeah,
where it's like I don't overly, like, I love to do it, what I do, but I never think about it. Like, I'm always like, these are my favorite bassists. Like, I always think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or my favorite drummers or whatever. But I'm always just like, not to discredit anyone, obviously, but I'm just like, I never think about it.
Yeah.
I think it's because I always have such a kind of bad taste in my mouth from a lot of guitarists that I've worked with, where it's like
the shred events.
Dude, the guitarist mentality is so tough, because I always think of our band and our playing as a gumbo. Every ingredient is important to work together. Whereas so many guitarists are just like, that's the cake, I'm the icing, and that's it.
What ingredient am I?
In the gumbo?
Yeah.
Probably some kind of like a paprika or like an Old Bay.
Oh.
Like, it's subtle, but it's what's needed.
It's that flavor.
It is. It's I would like to think I'm like a shrimp. Like some kind of shrimp.
I was going to say andouille sausage.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll take whatever. But yeah, it's weird when you think about that kind of thing.
Yeah. I always find myself not listening to drummers, and I'm just like, I'll just, like I mentioned, Prince, just watch him, play guitar, or, like Victor Wooten on bass. I like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, I could just name a bunch of people, but my playing, if I had to describe it, it would be like a bass player. If a bass player was to play bass or play drums.
That's actually the best thing that you say that, because That's how I am with
Yeah.
with the guitar. I mean, I'm a bassist as well, which a lot of people don't know. But like when I learned bass and really got into it, it changed my guitar playing for the better.
Yeah.
Where now it's like I don't think like a guitar player, I think like a bassist. Whether I'm doing
Right.
not that obviously playing guitar solos is a bass thing, but it's just kind of the approach.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed a lot of my thought process with everything. I'd like to think for the better, you know?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't, and like I said, it's like, at least for like, my right foot, playing drums is mimics a lot of what the bass is doing.
Yeah.
Right. But I also listen a lot to the rhythms of guitars.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually will shell out to be either a hi-hat pattern that I'm playing or in the snare drum.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, I don't even know that I'm doing it.
No, you're just kind of
but it lines up.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying, like when people talk to me about it, I'm always trying to get them to listen not to the drums.
Yeah.
If they're trying to like figure out the drum part to a record, or trying to grab a certain style of playing and want to learn that, I'm like, don't listen to the drums.
Yeah.
What's the bass doing?
That's
like, are you listening?
Yeah, that's
are
the
you
drum
listening
part
to
right
that
there.
second rhythm guitar?
Yeah.
They're like, what? It's like I'm listening to in the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not listening to everything that's up front in the mix. I'm listening to what's in the background, because like you mentioned, the gumbo.
That's such a cool outlook. I love that.
It's like it's like building a house, or and cooking, and there's many layers, and you got to build upon it.
Onions have layers.
They do, many. Many.
Sorry.
And that's what I think about when I listen to music, and when I'm trying to get people to listen to what everybody else is doing. I'm so big on that. And like when we play, when we rehearse, when we play live, I'm not listening to. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I practice. I know the part. That's fine. I'm listening to what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And that is key, is to get your head.
Gotta listen.
Listen.
Yeah. That was like, I'll never forget, we had a sax player one time come try out for the group, and he didn't listen to what everyone else was doing. He put earplugs in, and he fucking blew. Like, you want to talk about a Mack truck?
Yeah.
It was just, he blew. He wasn't
Steamrolled over.
He wasn't playing what was written, so he was just kind of going off, and he's not lined up, and that was one of the worst experiences of my life. But for those of y'all watching and listening, Will's not going to tell you because he's way too modest and too humble, but you need to listen. Don't look at your damn camera. I'm looking at my camera. But if you listen to our records, or the record that Will played on, which was our most recent one, the drumming is awesome. It's exactly what he talked about, because
Crap.
it's okay. It's it's like B+ drumming. It's great.
It's all MIDI.
No, just kidding. But yeah, it's crazy because the bass parts on that record are ridiculous, and for his his
they
right
are.
foot keeping up with that is awesome. And then for my rhythm, a lot of the snare and the ghost note stuff. I mean, that's how. It's funny because that's how I play drums. Not great, but I do a lot of ghost note stuff.
Right.
And that's also how I play guitar, where it's a lot of scritchy scratch and a lot of rhythm.
100%. It's all rhythm.
Everything is drums. Every instrument is a drum. That's what you have to understand.
Yep.
Which is great. So the fact that you just by proxy pick up on that, and
It's very weird.
and mimic it, and we just do it. He and I have been playing together for so long now. We know what we're going to do, and I'll write songs with what I call will hits in it. And I'll tell him as I'm writing, I'm like, okay, here's this pattern. We're getting to the verse, and the verse is going to be a will hit right at the end, or there's going to be a will fill at the end, and he'll know what it is, and I don't have to tell him, and he knows it's going to go in that direction whether I say it or not. And that's like the
It's
best
pretty
thing.
crazy.
I love it. We're connected. It's so good. It's so good. But you drumming with me is awesome because, or I should say me playing guitar with you is awesome because I'm very picky with rhythm guitar stuff. That's why we never have another guitarist in the band. And I'm very worried about me and the other person not connecting or being synced.
So it wouldn't work.
I'm very, very rhythmically driven. It's drums. It's essentially I'm literally playing a string drum. I mean,
It'd have to
that's
be
what it is.
100% on point for it to work.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, and it's funny because one of my students was like, I played him a thing. And he's like, "Can you write out the strum pattern for that?" And I was like, "Sure." And I had subdivided to like a 16th, and I never knew what I was doing, and I wrote it out, and I was like, "This looks like crap," but it's like, but you're very on point with that, and that's like super important. Which brings me to my next point of inspiration.
Oh,
you are a huge inspiration for me. I'm not doing this for the all factor. This is very true.
Oh my God.
But I think if you get inspiration within your own group or your own circle or people you play with, that's important. Because now this is modern day. I'm still influenced by teachers of the past and the music I listen to. And
yeah, absolutely.
whatever. I mean, there's newer artists I'm influenced by. But you and your playing is very important to me. And just
Well, thank you.
you have the positive outlook, and you're always a hard worker, and the work ethic is just always through the roof. That's why I made that's why I made you a cup of tea tonight.
It's fantastic, by the way.
It's not bad.
The mug is even better.
It's okay. It's not bad. I tried to pick like the least lame one that I have, but you know,
You don't have a Punisher one, do you?
I don't. You do.
I do.
Could have brought it over.
I know.
You wore the socks. I can't get mad at you.
Yeah,
That's good. I
Next
bought
time.
him those socks. I don't know if anyone cares.
He
But
did.
I bought him those socks. But yeah, but you are an influence for me, and that's, I think, very important. And if you're not influenced by the people you're working with, we get some new fucking people, because like that's a very big deal.
No,
You know?
and I can 100% say the exact same for me.
No, you're not allowed to copy off of what I said.
Oh.
That's not how
All
this
right.
works.
We'll edit all this out.
Yeah, cut this out.
Yeah.
Flattery.
Stop rolling.
Flattery gets you nowhere.
Yeah, but seriously, I mean, my playing has changed since we started playing.
I'm so sorry.
And for the worst.
Oh boy! Now the gloves are off. Great.
Yeah, but no, it goes back to what you're saying about some of the things that we can anticipate when we play.
Yeah.
And that's from us doing it all the time and enjoying it. I mean, we always talk about on here that, playing together or being in a band is like a marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all got to work. But you bring up a very good point about surrounding yourself with people who inspire you or have positivity.
Because let me tell you, I have cut out a lot of people who were not positive or negative or just a poisonous, toxic environment.
Yeah.
I don't need it. It
to.
does not positively affect your music. Don't need it in my life.
Yeah. And, for me, like when I was first presented with, auditioning for, this group.
Did you get the gig?
No, I'm still waiting here.
Okay. Checks in the mail.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
been
know. I
like
don't know.
6 years or, I'm always looking for, trying to better myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I listen to certain things like that, or people want me to audition for certain things, it's going to sound kind of snobby, but
No, go for it.
it's like,
No one's listening. It's just me.
I'm always trying to play with people who are better than me in a way.
No, I know. Yeah.
It's so like when I got to, when I was listening to the tracks before I auditioned, I was like, this is some serious stuff.
Yeah.
And
That's what I like to hear.
and I'm like, this is going to be a challenge for me. Like, this is going to make me work. They seem like, a good group. They're not. And I tell people all the time that you're just a freak.
In a good way?
And yeah,
Or the thing that
you
I
can
made,
take it in any way you want.
Or the reason, in the way that I made you show your feet on camera for the
right.
internet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
that kind of freak.
That was
no,
yeah.
but I say that all the time because, one, you can literally you do everything, but
I have my moments.
it's just that is the best way I can describe you because
I'll take it.
there's always a challenge. There's, you're
Saying
so,
working with me is a challenge.
Yes, yes.
I don't blame you, man.
Many ways. And I enjoy it, and you give me the freedom to add my touch to it, which is everything, because not everybody runs, the show like that.
It is what it is, I guess.
But from our relationship is, it's we bounce off each other all the time.
Oh yeah.
And we listen to different, like, think about all the groups that we now listen to that we kind of discovered. By hanging out or
like cross contamination.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really everything. And it all comes down to, surrounding yourself with somebody like that. And if you're in a band or whatever, and it's toxic and you don't feel that you're being challenged enough, or, you got to think about other options, because I find that I got really, my playing excelled is when I was playing with people like twice my age at least.
Yeah.
And that were way better musically in all aspects than me.
That was the first.
It was like sink or swim.
Yeah, that was all the early bands that I was in. It was all people twice my age.
Yeah.
3 times my age.
Same.
But that was all because a lot of people my age didn't want the task of working hard kind of
Right.
thing, and they didn't want to put in the time and that is bothersome. But
Yeah.
But I mean, you have a great point with that because it's not only should influence be within the band, but it should be if you're spending time with these people outside of the band.
It's all about the hang. We talked about that.
Always the hang. It's, you know, going like sometimes you and I will get together and we won't even do music. We'll just be like, yo, let's get a Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Right.
And that was not product placement. That's just life.
No, but please, Popeyes,
Do it. Get
reach
on it.
out to us.
Yeah, Popeyes. We need
you.
Come on.
Come
Look,
on. Your stuff's great.
I could throw it down a couple of those and
Yeah.
just not feel bad about
We
it.
could eat them on the show.
Oh
here.
my god! You know how crunchy that would be, like
Yeah.
ASMR in the microphone. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Crap all over the windscreen.
Right.
I'm in, baby.
But that's important. Is the it's not-
sandwiches?
yes, the
Okay,
the
good,
sandwiches
good.
is the hang. But you know, it's. I think people think it's just music all the time for
No.
us. We do this, we do that. Honestly, some of the moments that we've had, you know, that weren't music were more important.
Yeah, because I mean, it's music's one thing, but it's like a lot of the finer details. Like you and I just driving to go somewhere and laughing or something, or walking around
Right.
in our like one of our favorite little towns we go to. Or
But it sparks inspiration.
Oh,
and
of course.
we get a lot of our ideas by doing things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
you know, or if we're having troubles, you
Yeah.
know, whether it's with an album or whatever
In life.
we needed to take a break.
Yeah.
You know,
And
you
take
gotta
take a breath, breathe.
go do something, go for a drive, go
Yeah,
get something
yeah.
to eat, and come back and, you know, try and mix an entire album.
Yes. Oh boy, that's gonna. We'll have to bring that up on something else when I'm ready.
Let's
for
not. We
a
don't have
live
time.
A live therapy
Yeah.
session. So that kind of now stems into a different point of inspiration, and it's almost the farthest removed from anything because now, you know, you have your mentors, your musical events, your friends, your family, your bandmates. What are you inspired by that has no connection to music whatsoever? I don't know. That's such a weird one.
No, that's actually a really good question.
You know, what inspires you? Because I mean, I always have my go-to kind of thing that inspires me, but I don't know. I've never really asked you about that,
Yeah, I mean,
and it might be right in front of you, and you just never really realized it.
something that inspires me for music that's not music.
Yeah,
That's a really good
it's weird,
question.
isn't it?
I mean, I know you're probably going to mention film,
Always,
and that's a major role.
but it's the thing about film that I think is so inspiring. I mean, movies in general are just really cool.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that really gets me, it's the idea of someone making something out of nothingness and just being like, just creating. I think that's ridiculous. That's why all of my, you know, big heroes, it's Walt Disney or your Stan Lee
yeah.
or Jim Henson's a big one for me. You know, any of those guys where it's just like they made something out of nothing. So I'll watch a film or something like that or read something about them, and I'm just like, this is awesome. Or especially because it's usually like they came from nothing.
Those are
And
great
they
stories.
worked so hard, and they were just innovators, and that's always amazing. And it's that idea of like imagination is one of the best things you can ever work with in your tool belt.
Yeah.
Or the sky is the limit. I mean, that's what it was. Like, one of my big heroes is Rick Baker, who you and I talk about all the
yeah.
time. And he worked, for people who don't know, he did special effects and makeup for The Thing and Star Wars and American Werewolf in London. And a lot of times there were not effects around that they needed for these films. So he just had to make it. And that's just insane.
That's even crazy.
You know, and that's Jim Henson with puppetry and anything like that, where it's like, well, we don't have there's nothing preceding this idea, so I'm just going to make it.
Yeah.
Or I mean, that's literally everything Walt Disney did with animation or film. That's why Mary Poppins is always my go-to, because even today, it's like that is such an incredible work of film. And I'm not ashamed. I'm comfortable with my masculinity. That's like such an incredible work of film where it's like, this is such an innovation for back then. And it's like, or even
Huge.
The Wizard of Oz or anything like that. And it's just like, holy crap, someone made this by hand. And it never ruins the magic for me if I know how it's done. It makes me appreciate it that much more.
Oh,
because now I'm just
100%.
like, dude, this is like, who thought of this? Like, that's
Yeah.
such an ingenious thing and such a nothingness, but it worked. That's Walt Disney's big thing, was that, you know, never throw an idea out. There's always a way to make it happen. And that's everything I associate and put into music.
I feel like that's our motto.
There's always a way. There is always
Everything
a way.
we do is like that.
Yeah, and I think that is so important, and no one ever realized that. And there is literally always a way to make it work.
Always. I'm always finding myself saying that.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work. Yeah.
You know?
We'll make it. There's always, you never throw it out. There's always going to be a way, and that's
Yeah.
whether I'm writing music or working on some kind of an artwork or a video. I'm like, this can work. I'll have a crazy idea. I'll be like, this is nuts, and then I'm like, and we're going to do it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's what it is.
That's the best part about it. I mean, I guess I'll just piggyback off of that because it is. I don't have anybody specifically or to, you know, per se, but it's the just being people creating.
the idea of it.
The idea of it.
Very important.
Taking nothing and making something incredible. I love that. Those stories fascinate me. All of
Yeah.
those people, like, and I find myself doing it a lot. I don't
Yeah.
think that I really notice it, but I'm always, and you know, the people that know me, you know, a couple people, friends that I have, you know, they know that I'm always building something, always making
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Or it's just like, oh, that's really nice, and I'm just, oh yeah, I made that. Because it's like, well, I don't have money, so, you know, but it's
And I respect that, and that's inspiring, though.
right.
You know?
It's I just like
Like someone made this with their hands.
I love
That's the coolest.
That's the best part. I'm a very hands-on person. Obviously, we play, you know, instruments.
Yeah.
And I just like creating, and I get really excited when people are like, "Oh, I want to start this. You know, I want to do this business, or I want to really get into photography."
Oh, so you mean literally everything I say to you every single day?
Yes.
Wait, I have a new idea.
Exactly.
Oh,
I
God.
love that. Or, you know, just people talking, you know, to me about something that they want to start doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go for it. I mean, you're talking.
Why not?
I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah. That's
You know,
the coolest.
It's just go for it. Try it out.
Dude, that's like people making things by hand. That's, you know, I recently did a Walt Disney World trip before all this shit in the world happened. And I every time am like amazed to the point where it's like tears in my eyes because I'm that manly. And I'll be inside like Pirates of the Caribbean or the Haunted Mansion riding, and I'll just have this weird moment where I'll be like looking around, holy shit, someone made this.
It's brilliant.
Like, that's insane. Like, things like that where I'm just like, someone built this. Like, someone like had ideas to make this work. Like, that's bananas, dude. Like,
yeah.
I just think it's very, very important to have so many different types of inspiration like this in whatever you do.
Right. And not just music.
No, not
It's
just me. Just to be
all over.
inspired in general. So, I
Whatever
mean,
it is.
I think we kind of hit a large spectrum of this because, like I said, we have like our mentors. We
Yeah.
have our first kind of
Music groups.
that we
Yeah.
have, our bands and artists. We have our friends and family. We have our bandmates. We have just anything outside of that. I mean, inspiration is so important.
Yep.
And I think for any artist or musician, you have to have that to kind of perpetuate and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Because that's the best direction to go, and you have to move forward
Right.
and to kind of get that push. And
That's very well said. I mean, this is why we're doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's
It's
literally
because of
why we had this
inspiration.
crazy
I mean,
idea to do this.
100%.
But this I missed this.
Oh,
I missed
yes.
this immensely, man. I really,
Yeah.
truly did. I want
is
to,
great.
Yeah, I would say I want to thank everyone for listening and watching us beat off because now you can actually watch us beat off together in the
Yes.
same room.
Please.
Very, very good. If you would like to become one of our patrons and help subscribe and donate to what we do, you can go to charleslaurita.com and check out on the homepage a big orange button for our Patreon, which is cool. You'll get our name at the end of any of the videos that we do. So now
Much
we have more videos you
appreciated.
can have your name in the credits of because we're doing these videos
Yeah.
now. You know, if you'd like to submit a topic for us to talk about, go to charleslaurita.com/contact, and you can put your name, where you're from, your topic. We'll discuss it like we did today. This was such a blast. I
know
missed
it's more
this.
casual. It's nice.
No, this
It's
is
cool
this
down
is,
here.
This is cool, man. I really, really dig this. So thank you for doing this with me. I can't wait
Thank
to do more
you.
of these. I mean, we've been doing them, but now we're in the same room.
I
It's
know.
not through tablet, not socially distanced. It's
Someone's got to ring the bell.
well, we are actually still pretty distant, which is good.
Yeah.
I think you need to do it. Hold it up to the mic and just give it hell, man. You need to feel what it's like. You have to. You really don't smell it, but just hit it.
I'm nervous.
That's a good one. So, as we always say, my name is Charles Laurita.
And I'm Will Sarver.
And thank you guys so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.